Good evening, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing great this Saturday evening. It is a wonderful evening again. A little cool, and I love it. I love the weather, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. I'm in the Midwest, so no matter what you're at, I hope you're enjoying things. I hope you guys are going through and getting some conquests done today. Going ahead and trying to better yourself, better people around you, and all for the purpose of your God. So I hope things are going well. All right, so I once again I appreciate all the comments, likes, subscriptions. I think tomorrow when I get a little chance, tomorrow evening I'm gonna go through all the comments that we've had over the last week or so and kind of go ahead and give some shout outs as well as that. I think I've caught up with the ones from the following week, and I don't think I have anything else left in that. Yes, and we're in good shape with that. All right, so we're going to do a second one today, and this one kind of focuses on our viewer, Villem. So thank you, Villem, for your comment, and if I remember right, Attila the Hun, I think he had a horse named Villem, so it was tremendous. I love that name. So, emotions get stuck in the chakras. Great observation, Villem. Let's talk about that a little bit. All right, so we talk about this idea, and for those who haven't followed the channel or are really new to the channel, what I do is I talk about the idea of the fountain of youth along with semen retention, because a book that I had discovered back in 1998 called The Fountain of Youth by Peter Kelder, and he was focusing on how he was looking for the fountain of youth. And a lot of times we don't realize that the fountain of youth is not somewhere else, it's inside of us, which I kind of talked about a little bit the last video we made, talking about you have everything inside of you that you need. Well, here's another one of those examples that you have inside of you, the way to make yourself stay younger, or at least I shouldn't say you're younger compared to the fact that you could be a lot older. Now, what I mean by that is you're kind of slowing down the aging process. I mean, we're all going to live and die at some point, of course, but the idea is you're going to slow down the aging process. So in that whole idea, what he found when he kind of visited the monks in Tibet, that we are based on energy. And we kind of know that now through our science and physics, understanding that you cannot create or destroy energy. It's only transferred. And so if we're all made of energy and molecules, then it makes sense that we do the same thing. And that's why energy is really, we're energy. And so as we look at energy, we have good spots and bad spots within our aura. And so, and I'm not talking about bones and flesh and things like that, which is all made of energy, right? Molecules, energy, all those type of things. So when we talk about this, he talks about in his book, The Fountain of Youth, the idea of chakras, which are energy sources. I think there's 7 of them, and all kind of flow down the middle of the body, which is why the core is something like that people have started to exercise more. And these exercises, in fact, that Kelder talks about, allows you to build that core, but also speeds up the chakras. And so what you're doing is keeping the chakras going at a certain pace so that you're not going to get old. When the chakras slow down, that's when you end up getting older and eventually passing away, because many people don't understand chakras, so they're not doing exercises or things that keep the chakras going fast. A lot of times we're doing things that kind of keep them slow. And this is why a person who can start this at a certain age probably will not look that much different many years later. So I just kind of go back to myself a little bit here. I feel like I'm about 30 years old, right? And I'm actually 61 years old, but I started these in 1998. So if you just do the math, that's about mid to late 30s. And basically what I did was I kind of did that and said, okay, this is where I want to be at. Not realizing this would actually work. And 30 years later, right, all of a sudden, or 25 years later, all of a sudden, you know, I'm feeling like I did back then. Back then I felt worse than I do now, because I did not know a lot about this. So when we talk about the chakras, it's important to know that these are energy sources that will continue to keep you moving. It's important to understand that you're always moving with the chakras, and that once your chakras slow down, you're not going to be able to your whole body, everything is going to be much harder to move. And that's why we talk about the chakras. We're talking about keeping those at a certain speed. And that's why we do those exercises. So if you look at Kelder's book, he talks about several exercises that you do to focus on keeping the chakras going. And then the sixth exercise really deals with the whole idea of retention, celibacy, not using all of that energy and keeping it within your body, not letting it go, keeping it in your body so it flows through all the chakras and continues to go through your whole body. And this is the whole idea of semen retention. The idea is that you're trying to keep your body flowing with the same energy throughout, and you're not losing your energy. So it's harder to work with the chakras, of course, if you're losing energy all the time. And this is part of the whole idea of retention. Not that it's, not that you're ever going to be perfect and always keep your energy all the time. But the more you keep your energy, the idea is that you're able to deal with all of these things and helping your chakras deal with things as well. Now, the other thing that Villem is talking about is not only the physical draining of it, he's talking more in terms of the emotional draining, which means that as you have stress in your life, anger in your life, those things can affect your chakras. And I talked about this the other day when I was angry, and I didn't feel the same way. And I think someone even mentioned it to me. I think they think I released, but in actuality, I released in an emotional way. I had emotional stress, and so that was the release, and that wasn't a good release. Because emotionally, I lost energy, and I was tired. And so obviously that's another drain you have. And so this is why that affects the chakras. This is why when people get upset and angry all the time, and their whole lives are based on this, they look a lot older. Ever look at a person who's really angry? I mean, they're scowling, and they have, their forehead looks like, they look old. They're getting older every minute. While a person who is happy inside, who doesn't do a lot of fighting, who doesn't do not a lot of grudges or anger, they feel great. So I knew a person who had grudges for 30 years, and it kind of destroyed both of them because they were mad at each other all those years. They couldn't let it go, and because of that, that whole flow was going away from this. So the chakras were not flowing. It was almost like they were bumping up against something all the time, and that's what happens when you got emotional turmoil within your system. And basically you're not really going ahead and being with God in the flow of things. You're now going against God, because your emotions are those of anger and hatred and depression and all those things that really are the opposite of what God is intending to do, and that's to be peaceful and joyful and those things we do. So Villem, I think you're exactly right. Tremendous observation that you've made here. I agree with it 100%. I think when you look at the chakras, the most important thing, and even if you got to do these exercises day in and day out, I think the most they say you should do is 21. You don't need to do more than that. But I tend to kind of do a little bit more because I do love the idea of looking younger, or at least not looking my age. And I like that, because it gives me a chance to know that I'm going to hopefully be able to live a lot longer, and longevity is one of my goals, along with trying to get to the Lord and having a tremendous relationship with the Lord and serving the purpose that He wants me to serve. So I think, once again, with Villem talking about this, the whole idea that we want to kind of focus on is the fact that you have to do those type of things that are going to give you that vitality. That's why we talk about vigor and vitality. And this is why we talk about you as warriors, because you are stronger. You're keeping that energy inside of you. You can just tell a difference. I'm reaching close to 1,000 days now of not releasing. And, there's been times that certainly it was close over the 1,000 days. There's been times that I wanted to release, and I was monk mode. I got out of monk mode, things like that. All those type of things have occurred. But I knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to keep this because I felt the great benefits of this day in and day out. And I can't tell you how much it's been such a blessing to be able to get to almost 1,000 days. And hopefully we can kind of go for our second 1,000 and keep moving along until we get that 12-year mark that we're looking for. And obviously, as time goes on, it gets a little bit easier in some ways. Other ways, you might be caught unaware. And this is why we talk about the birds can fly over your head, but you got to be careful not to let the birds nest in the head and follow you down pattern. And this is what happens with the emotional stress. Not only the physical we're talking about, but the emotional. Where now you get tempted into arguments, you get tempted into people's drama, and you got to avoid that. Warriors, you cannot allow yourself to be taken in by other people's drama. And this happens a lot in our society. People, they want attention. They want your attention for whatever reason. And you cannot allow them to drag you in, so they're dragging it down. Now, yes, of course, once in a while, if you're trying to listen to a friend who's venting and wants to give you their energy, well, that's going to be your choice. But remember, that's going to drain you dry as well. And you have to kind of play that one as it goes along to kind of see how it's affecting you on a day-to-day basis. But excellent comment, Villem. I appreciate it. I always like to kind of pick out comments along the way as I'm seeing people texting me and sending me messages, and I like to kind of comment on that one. And so once again, a shout out to Villem for this one. Emotions get stuck in the chakras, and this is why it's important to allow the exercises to work their magic for you, to allow that type of thing where now you're flowing with nature. The chakras and the semen retention is allowing you to flow in your normal course of life, and you should not have to deal with a lot of the negative effects of stress and things like that, and depression and anger and those emotions that clog your system up. When we talk about clogging, not only clogging the chakras, but they're clogging the blood system, everything else. You just think of stress and all these things that stress causes. There's a great saying that we use all the time. We talk about the fact that a lot of people are in distress. And what does that mean? That means that they're in stress. They're stressful situations. And so this is why you have to be careful of being in stress and putting your body into it. A lot of times you don't even recognize you're in stress. Your body is at such a stress level that it just affects your heart rate, your pulse, all those type of things. And this is where you can get to heart attacks and die at an early age, because you can't handle the level of stress. And this is why exercise, retention, all these things make a big difference. All right, Villem, great job, my friend, again. And I thank you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And as someone just kind of mentioned on the thing, that you can always depend on trying to get a video from Vigor Warrior at least once a day if I can. So God bless you guys. Remember two things, as we always say. One, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And I always say this back. Sometimes I miss saying it, but you know what I'm saying. And the second thing is, my friends, this one is very clear. You got to continue every day and continue to battle every situation so that doesn't get the best of you, and take control of your lives. And that means that you have to battle